Naz and Rob here. I'll flip it over to Rob in just a sec, but we have the privilege and pleasure of partnering with Paige and her team at ACV Auctions. We talk almost daily, and our role is really to help companies with their employer branding, their value propositions, telling their story of who they are. So we work with a lot of really great companies, helping them recruit the right talent. And so my role, I'm a relationship manager, and so I'm more or less the main point of contact for strategy, working with these clients. And Rob is my partner in crime. He is fantastic, and I'll pass it over to him.
Thank you very much, Naz. Hello, all. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. My name is Rob Olszewski. I am the Customer Success Manager, as Naz mentioned. I partner with her in providing service for ACV Auctions. We're in partnership, and essentially my role is to take the solutions that have been invested in and just to make sure that they are maximized based on ACV Auctions, hiring goals, overarching business goals, just making sure that they have everything they need to really get the most out of the partnership with LinkedIn.
Thanks, Rob. So before we jump in, definitely want to thank you guys for coming in and sitting down and learning a little bit more about LinkedIn. But wanted to just mention that this time is really for you guys. We do have some content that we're going to be sharing with you around, best practices on LinkedIn as a member. So this is going to be away from what we're doing in the client space and what we do in our day-to-day jobs. We want to just really make sure that we're adding value for you guys as members on LinkedIn. Right now, the talent marketplace is very different than it's been years ago. You guys run the show. You guys are the candidates, and you have all the space to kind of tell your own story and really market yourself on LinkedIn, given that unemployment is the lowest it's ever been and companies are looking for great talent more than they ever have in the past. So I'll pass it over to Rob to start our presentation.
Okay. Just confirm that you can see the main screen there.
Yes, we can. You're good.
Perfect.
Great. Thanks, Kim.
All right. Go ahead and get started.
So we're going to play a short video for you guys. I think Kim has that loaded on her end.
Do you guys want me to do the video?
Yes, if you could just play that so the volume comes through.
Started off as an outsider, and in this industry, it really is about being known.
The restaurant business is a tough business. I've been up here and I've been down here too.
It is hard to find people. So you need people that you're close to help guide.
I think about how important it was for me to have the role models that I can.
There have been a lot of friends and clients that have supported me, especially since I started my law practice.
I wasn't able to get there. He essentially plucked me out of obscurity. He's the one who said, hey man, this is your life, this is what you need to do. Nobody can do it. The more help you get, the faster you should go.
I don't know, I enjoy the work enough that I get lost.
If I do anything in this life, I just want young people to feel empowered.
I just pursue my aviation goals, whatever it takes to get there. I'm in it. Why?
To help people achieve their dreams.
To tell stories that matter.
To celebrate good food. Our ability to speak for those who can.
Whatever you're in for, we're in it together.
I started.
All right. Let me just pull you guys back up real quick here. Okay.
Awesome, thanks. So we'll hop right in. Rob and I can still see everybody. So I know it's the end of the day and you probably have had a bunch of coffee and some good snacks by now. So we're just going to do a quick poll of the room. How many people in the room right now have a LinkedIn profile? Hands. Wonderful. That's awesome. So right now, LinkedIn has over 665 million members. We're adding 2 new members a second. And we are really in a space where we're getting closer to our vision as a company, which is to create economic opportunity for everyone in the global workforce. So we are a members first organization. So in everything that we're hearing outside with, data, security and trust and compliance and things like that, LinkedIn has been and will always be a members first organization. So what that means is that we want to make sure that we're putting everybody on the member side first. And so we're always working in the best intention and kind of best interest of our members. And because our vision is to help everyone recognize and kind of connect to economic opportunity, the work that we do as a company is really to kind of bridge some of the gaps between whether it be governments, educational institutions, skills, companies, candidates. And so we're the first organization in the world that's created what we call the economic graph. So we're digitally mapping all of the data points that are on LinkedIn, everything from people's behavior to the skills that they're graduating with to the jobs they're looking at, so that we can close the gaps between demand and actual opportunities out there. And so we have a whole team at LinkedIn with hundreds of people in it that work on the side of the organization. And so this is always to help our members become more productive and successful. So our vision is to create economic opportunity for everybody, but our mission is to make you more productive and successful. And so we actually were acquired by Microsoft a couple years ago now. And so their mission and vision is very similar. So this has been a really nice kind of integration for us to help members become more productive and successful. And so if we head to the next slide, the differences between social media, and there's some real big ones. The way we think about Facebook is really Facebook is, hey, I'm Naz, I like donuts. And when we think about Snapchat, which is a platform that many people still use, it's, hey, look at me, watch me eating a donut. And then when we think about Instagram, it's a little bit more creative in that it's like, here's a cool photo of my donut. Where we think about things like Pinterest, it's here's a recipe for donuts. Spotify or Apple Music would be, I'm listening to a song called Donuts. And when we think about WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook, it's, does anyone want a donut? I'm going to have a conversation around my donut. And this is a little bit different than what LinkedIn is all about. And so flipping to the next slide. On LinkedIn, you want to make sure that you're maintaining a very professional mindset. So some things that would be relevant to a donut mentality on LinkedIn would be, I hope to operate a donut franchise one day. Or, you know what, I'm actually looking for a job at a donut company or a donut store. I have 3 years experience making donuts. Not eating donuts, but making donuts. My top skills are donut production and scales. Here are 3 recommendations from people that I've worked with that are in the donut space. So there's definitely room for you to tell your story, but the story should be really from a lens that is professional. And so when we think about the work that Rob and I do, which is on the client side, of course, we know that right now, 9 out of 10 employers are using LinkedIn for the hiring process. So really honing in on what your professional brand is and who you are on the platform is going to be really, really important in terms of getting you noticed from companies that you're interested in potentially working for.
And now we get to the actual meat, which is building out your LinkedIn profile. So in this section, we're going to be covering how to essentially just set up your account, your profile. And as we go through each section, you're going to start to see the differences between a LinkedIn profile and your resume. And that a profile really allows you to add color to your professional experience and really bolster that professional brand that you're looking to cultivate on the network. Lastly, we're going to be going through photos and editing your profile. So first and foremost, to set up your account, there's 2 different mediums you can use that. You can go on your desktop computer, you can visit linkedin.com, or you can download through a mobile app whether you're an Android user or an Apple user, at the Apple Store or your Google Play Store. Look for LinkedIn, download it, and then it'll prompt you to begin the process. First and foremost, when setting up your profile, can't state it enough, have a good photo, have a recent photo. Just a stat for you guys to underscore the importance of this. Members with profile photos receive up to 21 times more views and 9 times more connection requests. So just some key points with that photo prior to you uploading it during your setup. Use a background that isn't too distracting. We want to focus on your face, kind of peg a face to the name, to the title, to the exquisite background that you guys have professionally. And having a sort of very much undistracting background will help with that. Dress for the job you want. You want to be professional, not necessarily, roll in there with a Grateful Dead t-shirt. Just something that kind of exudes professionalism and how you go about your day from a professional standpoint. Smile, have a friendly expression. Everyone loves to interact with people with smiles, so obviously that's important. And lastly, make sure your face takes up a majority of the frame. So we kind of want to be focusing on your face and not necessarily like a plant in the background. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. Lastly, also loosen up your restrictions as far as we're going to go through some of the restrictions, or we can even send you guys information on that later on, but make sure that the entire network can see your photo. Especially from ACV auctions, the company pages, different content that's being posted. Sometimes if your profiles are being shown or someone is just even looking at the different employees at ACV auctions, they want to make that human connection. So it's really important that you loosen and keep those restrictions open to all non-connections that can see your profile and your picture if you're comfortable with that, because then they can immediately make that human connection. They can see the face, they can peg a face to the title. And so on. A lot of times you can place restrictions, too high, where all you're going to see is really a gray silhouette, and that kind of takes away from all of the work that you did in preparing the photo and uploading it, etc.
And just to add to that, right now, if you don't actually have a good headshot and you're looking to add one or get an updated photo, for the month of March, all Microsoft stores have a booth available in it that you can get a free headshot taken that will link, that will be sent to you, that you can put in on LinkedIn. So we definitely encourage you to get that up and running.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Naz. Next is your headline. Now, again, this is very important because aside from your title and your photo, this is essentially going to be the first thing that people see. Yep.
Sorry, guys, we're gonna interrupt. You have some really great information here, and we're having a really hard time hearing you, Rob. Instead of on your AirPods, is there any other way you can communicate?
Yeah, absolutely. I can look to take this off right now.
Paige, do you hear me okay?
Yep, Naz, you're perfect.
Okay, so you know what, Rob, why don't you stay on that and I'll take it while you get connected on phone.
Sure.
If you want to just flip the presentation. There we go. Perfect. So your headline, and we get this all often that folks are kind of worried about what they should put in their headline, but your headline is really just when someone looks up your name, there's going to be basically a banner below. So you can see here on the left-hand side, Head of Client Strategy and Head of Client Strategy and Business Development at Beyond. So this is kind of your claim to fame of what you're doing. And when you're writing your headline, you want to ask yourself, if someone just sees this, what does it say about that person? Does this actually represent how my professional brand is unique, or show why I'm unique? And if I was a recruiter and I just saw that headline, is there something kind of exciting, or does that draw their attention? You don't want to overthink this, but you do at the same time want to be thoughtful about what you're putting in here. Sometimes you see people that will put, award-winning author, soccer mom, customer service guru. All of that kind of information is really helpful, and it doesn't need to be something super rigid, but it needs to be something that kind of speaks to how unique you are within your role.
Can you guys hear me okay? Am I coming in a little bit better with the laptop
yes, Rob,
mic?
that's so much better. Thanks.
Oh, okay. Yep, no worries. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Yep, and just to essentially dovetail on what Naz was saying, again, this is going to be the first thing that you're going to be seeing aside from the photo and the title. So you do want to kind of think outside of the box, maybe even be a little bit more playful. It doesn't necessarily have to relate directly to what your title is. For instance, I've put in that I am a customer advocate, even though my title is customer success manager. Making something a little bit more creative that pops will help make you a little bit more memorable, especially when a lot of people are viewing a number of different profiles. So encourage you to kind of test it out, you know, see what your friends think. This is a great way to kind of show your personality while also indicating what your passion is and your professional experience. Next, you're going to be drafting a compelling summary. Now, essentially, this is a very quick elevator pitch. Now, if you'll notice here, it's like 40 plus words, but you don't have to overthink it. Keep it short and sweet. And essentially what you want to be doing here is essentially just briefly listing what you've done, your experience, what you're passionate about, as far as a professional capacity. And then feel free to highlight some unique talents or how you want to contribute to the workforce or just in general to the global workforce. So again, you kind of want a summary of about 40 words or more, but you should really limit the amount of job experience that you're putting in there because we have an entirely different experience section of your profile that you can then populate. Again, you kind of want to be in and out, brief story of who you are, what you're passionate about, what really gets you going professionally. And if people want to further explore, they can go down into your experience section.
Great. So in terms of diving into what your work experience is, this is where you'll have the ability to go into your profile and build out your work experience in the separate modules here. And so when members are actually up in adding information that is up to date, they will actually receive 5 times more connection requests, 8 times more profile views, and 10 times more messages. And so like all social media, the number one thing that members do is that they look at other people's profiles. So whether I'm a colleague, I maybe went to university or college with you, or I'm a recruiter that potentially wants to hire you, it's going to be very important for me to see that you're actually up to date. If it says here that, you know, your work experience, the last thing you have in there is a very long time ago and nothing about the present, whether you be retired or maybe you're taking time off or you're, you know, whatever the case may be, I will think that you're a non-active user. And it's the same way as if you don't have a profile photo, I may think that you're just not using LinkedIn. So I'm going to, the likelihood for me to reach out as a, you know, peer on LinkedIn is going to be a lot less. Rob, next slide. Rob? Uh-oh, I think it's frozen. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just getting a ping from Rob that it froze. Okay, so just waiting for that to come back. So the next component here that you guys want to be thinking about is adding examples of your work. So on the actual profile, you have the ability to put what we call media, which can be photos or video of things that you've done. So you can put examples of, you know, if you, for example, right now, like Paige is working at this conference, she can put a photo of how she's co-leading the conference, how she's organizing this conference, a photo of some of the accomplishments within her career per area of experience. So while she's working at ACV, if there's some sort of fundraiser or some sort of group shot of the work that she's done, pictures and video tell 1,000 words. So this is a great way to kind of highlight visually what you've done. So Rob's just saying that it's not uploading, it's not working on his end.
I can pull your presentation up if you want me to just go slide by slide.
Sure. Would you mind pulling it up?
Yeah, one sec. I'll just share my screen real quick here.
Great.
What slide number were you on?
We were on 14.
Okay. All right, one sec. Yeah, I'll just share my screen, one sec.
So I don't know if you guys heard Paige mention that we are working from home because of some of the viruses that are going on right now. And so I'm actually not working from home. I don't know if you guys can see. I wish my home was this grand, but it's not. So one of the reasons I actually came into the office was because I feel like sometimes internet in New York City can be kind of shoddy at home. So much to my expectation, Rob is having some difficulty with the internet. So I'm happy to carry us through until he gets back.
Okay, one sec here.
Sure.
Can you see it okay?
Perfect. Yep. Can you guys still hear me all right?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect. As I was saying, adding examples of your work, this is a really easy way to kind of tell the story visually. So as you build out, I'm working at ACV auctions right now, you can throw on a photo or a video of some of the work that you're doing. And this is, again, a really easy way for people to connect and kind of picture and visualize the contributions you're making. And I do encourage you guys, I have all of this kind of built out on my profile. So if you need an additional example or you want to see it, you can definitely look me up on LinkedIn, and all of this content is there. And so Kim, just the next slide, please. Thank you. And so something else, and we talk about this really often with some folks that are potentially graduating or maybe a little bit younger, but realistically, volunteer experience is something that a lot of employers love to see. We see members actually getting up to 6 times more profile views than those who don't include volunteer experience or don't have volunteer experience. So this is a really good way to kind of share some causes that you may be interested in, that you're contributing to, kind of build a sense of community around the work that you're doing above and beyond what you're getting paid for. And so we, when we're working with younger members, they may say, well, I don't really have work experience. How am I going to get a job, or how am I going to build out a profile on LinkedIn when I don't have a whole lot to show for what I've done professionally? So volunteer experience is a really good, way to tell that story as well. And any transferable skills that you may have, whether you're retired and you have hobbies, time management skills, different things like that, you can plug in here. And so the next piece here, once you've got your profile kind of up and loaded, you want to build your professional network. We say sometimes at LinkedIn that your network is your net worth. It's really important that you have connections on LinkedIn, because this is really how you're going to learn about opportunities. This is really how you're going to connect with other people, potentially work on different projects. And so we'll jump right in here. And so when we actually think about what personal connections really do and why your network could potentially be your net worth, is that more than 50% of hires actually come from a personal connection. So the same way that we work with our clients and we say referrals are a really strong source to hire, so are having your connections nicely built out on LinkedIn. And so when we think about what that means, well, your first degree connection is going to essentially be someone that you're already connected to. So this is someone that you've accepted their connection request. And while everyone has a network, you might not actually realize that this network is transferable and that you can put these people literally by way of connection on LinkedIn. And so as you meet new people, for example, today at this lovely conference, or you may chat with someone in a volunteer or kind of community setting, this is a really good place to be connecting with these folks and adding them. And when you do that, they become a first degree connection. And so your second degree connections are going to be people that are connected to people that you're connected to. So people think that their first degree connections sometimes are the most important, but your second degree connection is really, really important because these are people that are going to be connected to additional people that you may not know. And so your first degree connections are going to be people that are already in your network, and secondary connections are going to be people you share a connection with. Your third degree connection is going to be someone who's connected to someone that is a mutual connection and beyond. So when we think about, again, how the strength of your network, people often think that their first degree is the most important, but research actually shows us that your weak connections, so meaning the people that are in your second and third degree networks, are going to be more often valuable for your job search than your strong existing first connections, because the people that are going to be in your second or your third are going to have a stronger diversity in terms of the people they're connected to. So for example, my neighbor's sister works at Amazon. I've only met her once, but if I want to work at Amazon, she's going to help me find jobs and connect me with people that are going to be in that space more than the people that are potentially in my first degree. And so each time you connect with someone new, their extended network essentially becomes part of your, it becomes more accessible to you. And so on LinkedIn, when you're thinking about growing your network and building your professional network, you can customize the connection request. And it's really important here when you send this to put a note that explains why you're interested in adding the second or third degree connection. If it's someone that you already know, you don't really need to, you can include a personal message, but when we're thinking about expanding our network to second and third degree, it's really important that you're saying something to them that explains why you actually want to get in touch. Maintaining kind of the strength of your network is important. So when, there's going to be people that you're going to connect with that you might not know personally, which is fine, but you want to make sure that the intention is set there. And so most LinkedIn members often or always respond to a request or for a referral, and more than 60% of the workforce has referred someone into their company. So this is something really important to keep in mind as you think about your professional brand, building your network out, and leveraging LinkedIn for new opportunities. And so in terms of discovering existing connections, so this is kind of like the low-hanging fruit of getting your network a little bit bigger, a little bit more diverse. Your existing connections, if you click on My Network, so within LinkedIn on the left-hand side under Connections, it will give you the ability to add friends and family, current or former colleagues, current or former managers. So our LinkedIn algorithm will look at people that you're connected to already and begin to curate other individuals that you potentially may want to be connected to. And if you don't have a lot of connections right now, when you plug in the company that you work for, the companies that you have worked for, the algorithm will start, the engine will start, and it'll start pushing out connections members that could be suitable connections for you. And so this is basically the people you may know feature, and it will help you kind of grab some of those low-hanging fruit from by way of your connections and building out the network. And so when we think about searching for new connections, so going above and beyond, the people that you know that are being pushed to you through the algorithm, you have the ability, there is a search tool for every member, and you can go into the search bar and in the top navigation, find new connections by entering the name, company, location, and keyword. And so as you do this, the algorithm for you will begin to become stronger, and you'll add people that are more relevant or that you want to be connected to. And as you do that, the system will start pushing out more and more connections that may be suitable for you. And so if you find somebody that you want to connect with, when you hit connect, this will populate and you can customize the invitation. So make sure, again, you are being very intentional, you're being mindful that you're sharing with this person the reason why you want to connect with them, potentially you were in a meeting and someone said that you should be chatting with this person. Hey, I was chatting with Susan today. She thinks that it would be a great way for us to chat. It'd be great for us to be in touch because of XYZ. Would love to connect with you and add you to my professional network. And again, it is best practice to mention, to use a personalized message and to make it clear why you're reaching out to this person. And my office lights are turning off because nobody's here but me. So when we're thinking about growing your network strategically, and you're really starting to be in that place to say, okay, I want to really manage my professional brand. I want to get out in front of potential other companies that I want to work for. There's some questions that you want to ask yourself when you're thinking about reaching out to new members, whether that be a peer or that be potentially a recruiter or someone in the C-suite that you might want to work for. You want to be thinking about people that you have something in common with. And you want to be thinking about people who have a job or work at a company that interests you. In addition to that, it's important to be thinking about people who may be able to connect you with someone who can help you get to some of these goals. Whether that's working for a new company, it may be kind of honing in on some of the skills that you have, maybe a mentorship or a consulting opportunity. You want to really kind of think about these things before you start adding people, because again, the strength of your network and the kind of the quality of your network is going to be important. And so in terms of some of that messaging, you want to mention who you are, how you came across their profile. So if someone let you know about them, or you saw them on LinkedIn and you thought their profile was interesting, and also stating how this person can potentially help you. And as we saw, the majority of individuals, when you reach out to them and you share this information, they actually are quite open. And we do have the functionality now on LinkedIn that when you look at a member's profile, it'll tell you what that person's interested in or open to. And so there's many individuals, many members on LinkedIn that will list that they're open to having coffee. So I often get folks reaching out to me saying, hey, I'd love to hear about your story. You've done some interesting work. Would you be open for, a quick chat? And given our mission as a company to, our vision as a company to create economic opportunity, it's something that I'm generally pretty open to in terms of chatting with other members. Rob, you're back.
Woo! Thank you guys for being flexible. Some technical difficulties.
Great. So I'll throw it over to you, Rob.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so great. So the great thing about LinkedIn and just the 675 million members that we have across the network is that you can actually use your network and really leverage it. One of the things that I came in on with Naz mentioning is sort of the golden rule. If you guys are seeking out to set up informational interviews to find out more about prospective opportunities, you should also do similarly if someone requests the same of you, just to find out more about your journey. But with respect to using the network, it's great for making connections. Outside of that, connecting with people that maybe you already know that they have connections to, and then from there setting up some great things like informational interviews. We can go through requesting referrals, requesting recommendations, and then just generally adding value and engaging. Next slide, please. Now, LinkedIn members are 9 times more likely to get hired when they are referred. So it's so critical that you really leverage the network that you have established and strategically continue to expand that network in accordance with your own passions and the ways that you want to kind of steer your career. So again, just actually asking for a referral and reaching out and messaging someone can really, really go a long way. And you can do that by leveraging the network. Next slide, please. Now, you can send a message to a prospective member who you want to connect with, you want to set up an informational interview with, or just get a referral from through a variety of different ways. You can send messages or emails through LinkedIn messaging, the actual messaging page on your homepage. You're going to see at the top there, there's going to be an icon just from messaging. You can message them from your connections page or from your network section of your LinkedIn profile. And then from there, you'll see a quick excerpt. You'll see their profile picture, you'll see their title, headline, etc. And then you can just click on connect or message if you guys are already connections. And lastly, if you've been reviewing their profile page as well, you can also go in and there'll be an option there to message them directly. And then from there, you can personalize it. I would always recommend mentioning how you know them, surfacing some level of commonality, and being very specific and personalized as opposed to very generic. You know, you definitely want to endear this person, and you want to kind of call to mind how you guys are connected. Next slide, please. Asking for informational interviews. Now, actually, this is huge for me personally, because this is actually prior to coming to LinkedIn. I was in medical sales, and that's actually how I got my job for medical sales. Was I actually reached out to someone on the network, asked them for an informational interview, found out more about the job, and then from there, became an acquaintance, if not friends, and they actually led me to connecting to their company president, whom I then asked for another informational interview, and the job was offered to me right then and there on the spot. So you honestly never know what may grow from these types of engagements. So some of the purposes of an informational interview: gain advice on your career path, where you're headed, some of your aspirations, maybe if you don't even really have it all put together, maybe some of your passions, and this person can kind of help lead, piece things together for you, and figure out what your next steps are. You can learn more about an industry that you're interested in. You can learn about a specific company if they're an employee from there, which is always critical, because aside from actually fulfilling a role, you actually want to know about what the company culture is like. So it's always very important to understand the culture there. And lastly, to establish your professional brand and establish a professional bond. Sort of let them know what you're good at, what your experiences are, and then kind of bonding that way. So they know they could always reach out to you, and you kind of have that connection and that ally there in a professional context. And I would always send an actual follow-up note. It's not mentioned here, but anytime that someone offers you, you always want to be appreciative, and you want to recognize that as well, and always ask them that you're happy to fill out a recommendation or referral if you have the experience with them to do so. Next slide, please. Perfect. And you can also request a referral. So this is a bit more digital. This could be done on the network directly instead of setting something up, coffee or a video call. What you can do is you can actually request a referral with someone who you've had a professional experience with, whether it be a manager, a former colleague, someone who you were managing. This really goes a long way to kind of add additional color to what you offer from a relational standpoint, because this is actually another member, another person who's had an experience with you, how you operate, how you communicate, some of your many strengths, and they can even list firsthand how they've seen those strengths and those skill sets really highlighted in your day-to-day role. More than 60% of the workforce has actually referred someone to work at their company. So that's just, again, that's another great suggestion on how you can leverage the network.
And just to add to that, from a place of referrals, obviously, you know, you want to be mindful about who you're reaching out to for a referral. If this is someone that you've worked with closely, they've seen, you know, what you're able to contribute, what type of person you are. We get pinged very, very often on LinkedIn. Someone will message me and they'll say, hey, you know, like they'll literally send me a connection request and they'll say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you help me? And I don't even know who this person is, let alone they're asking me basically, that sometimes they'll put the link in for the job. And it's like, I don't know who you are, you know, great. Like, I understand that you're looking for an opportunity and I'd love to help you, but, you know, tell me something. And also, like, if it's to somebody that I've potentially worked with in the past that maybe got let go because they weren't, you know, the best contributor, or they, you know, didn't have high levels of integrity, or, you know, things like that. So you want to be mindful who you're asking for referrals. But then on the flip side, Many companies right now do have referral programs. As we've mentioned, we work with our clients very closely in terms of the recruiting strategy, and referrals, as we said, can be a very, very strong source of hire, because if someone that works for the company is going to refer someone in, well, they're basically vouching and vetting for this person, saying that, hey, you know, Susan, I think would be a great fit. I would want to work with her again, or, you know, I would want to work with her, period. And on the company side, there are referral programs where that employee who's potentially bringing in this referral can actually be rewarded with, you know, some sort of compensation or a gift card or something like that. So, you know, both sides of the coin, you want to be mindful who you're reaching out to, but you want to also realize that, you know, there is something potentially in it for them besides seeing your bright, shiny faces next to them while they're at work.
Awesome. Next slide, please. Now, recommendations. Recommendations are essentially like a referral, except it's not for a particular position. It's essentially something that is placed on your profile and travels with you through the duration of your professional career. So this is something that can be executed on LinkedIn. And it's essentially a reference from people who you've worked with, worked alongside, over, under, and you can actually do that straight from the from your actual profile. So what you would do is you essentially would go on a connections profile, you would click more, and then you can request a recommendation. And then from there, you can designate what the relationship is and what the position was at the time. So again, this is really effective for you to essentially be able to highlight what you can do, but it's not essentially coming from you. It's actually being vouched for by someone else who's actually seen it first person. So this is highly effective, and it's always great to periodically, or at least in every single role that you have with a company, ask for a recommendation, you know, just so that kind of stays up to date. And as your skill sets develop, you can also get more updated recommendations that really speak to that and highlight that. Next slide, please. Perfect. And to summarize, essentially, you want to add value and engage with your network. So you want to be investing time with your connections. You want to be requesting those informational interviews. Again, information is power. It's so important for you to understand what your next move is, what the culture is, even the proper ways and through the channels through which to really kind of share that professional brand. So prior to even walking into that next interview, people are already aware of what you have to offer, and you have someone who's kind of backing you through a referral process. It's so important to like, to share, to engage with the content that's out on the network, especially as you are beginning to follow companies, beginning to get engaged with companies. It's so key to like and to indicate that you are engaged, that you're following them, because recruiters can actually filter by that and can see who's actually engaging with their talent brand, who's aware of them, and who's been viewing that content. So that just shows that next level of investment and that next level of interest, and it's only going to heighten your chances of being engaged by a recruiter. Also, joining groups. This is a great way just to digitally network and to really kind of be on the forefront of thought leadership, whether it's a particular industry, whether it's a company, whether it's a particular type of role. This is a great way for you to collaborate with fellow people who are also in your title and within your role, within your industry, excuse me, to again really knowledge share. You can also do so with alumni. So whether it be from colleges, even high schools, again, this is just another opportunity for you to network and to really expose your professional brand to other members across the network. And again, you never know who they're connected with and what that might lead to one day. And lastly, give testimonials and recommendations, to others. The golden rule absolutely holds here. If you would want someone to be pretty prompt in their response, if you're requesting something of them, whether it be a recommendation or a referral or just an informational interview, go ahead and place yourself in their shoes as well and do the same. And when a request does come your way, be sure to prioritize that, and really reach out, because you might be in a similar situation one day along the line. And it really is great when someone can share that knowledge. It can be critical in your decision making when taking that next step. Next slide, please.
Awesome. So I'll jump in here, and this is kind of the fun part, right? So this is where you guys have the ability to roll up your sleeves and really kind of design your future in terms of what you want your next play to be, as we call it. So when we're thinking about, any moves that you want to make. Maybe you're not working right now. Maybe you're on pat leave or mat leave, and you think when you come back, you might want to be doing something different. We're going to run through the ways that you can search and apply for jobs on LinkedIn. So let's just head to the next slide. And so as you've probably noticed, the theme here is that as you engage with the network more, so whether you're engaging with a company you like, or you're engaging with content, you're liking things, the system is very, very smart, and there's an algorithm built in there. And so the more you do things, the same way when you watch Netflix and then it says, you know, people who watch this movie is suggested for you, the system will learn who you are as a member more and more, and it will give you more tailored content, more tailored opportunities, more tailored opportunities to kind of get involved with the things that matter to you most or that might be more compelling. And so the first step here in terms of jobs is setting your career interests. So when you go into the settings, you actually have the ability to turn on potential job titles and locations within your career interest to receive more relevant job suggestions. So every day you're going to get pushed out notifications of jobs that are suggested for you. And the more that you go in and kind of tighten up this recipe, the more you're going to get, you know, a meal that really kind of speaks to your palate. And also in this section here under career interests, there is a button, and you can see it at the top here. It's let recruiters know you're open. And so when you toggle this little button on, this will allow people like Paige, who is a recruiter for ACV. She goes in and she looks for great talent. When she runs a search on the back end, she'll actually be able to see you as, you know, that front end developer that's interested in a new opportunity. So for Paige, you're going to be part of that low hanging fruit that meets the skills that she's looking for, who's putting their hand up and saying, hey, you know what? I'm actually interested in this role. This is a really great way to put your hand up virtually and signal to recruiters that you're going to be interested in a potential conversation. And you can take it a step further where you can say what you're interested in. So you can mention if you're open to a relocation. You can mention if you're open to part-time work, consulting, what have you. And rest assured, the only people that can see this are people who are outside of your current company. So if we work together and I go in and I'm in recruiter, I won't actually be able to see that you're putting your hand up and thinking about potentially making a job move. So the next step here, and again, this is where it gets fun. We have hundreds and thousands of, I think we're actually at millions now, Rob. How many open jobs? I think it's 10 million we have.
That sounds about right.
We're up there, definitely up there in terms of.
It's over 20 million open jobs currently.
Right. So again, going back to the fact that you guys are in the driver's seat here right now, with unemployment being the lowest it's ever been, companies are looking for talent more than they ever have. It's more competitive than ever to get in front of the right candidate. So you guys really have the ability right now to write your own story of what you want to do when you're in the professional space. So as you search for jobs, you have the ability to enter a number of different criteria, everything from keywords to when the job has been posted. So making sure you're getting in front of like that fresh new job that's been posted, experience level, location. So you may be in Buffalo right now. You may be thinking about moving to, I don't know, Colorado, and you want to see what's out there. You can jump right in there and add the location that makes the most sense for you. And once you do this, you know, you've basically whipped up this great pot of things that you want. You want to actually save this as a search alert. So in there, you'll have the same criteria and the same filters, and then you can save the search alert. And every day you'll be notified of jobs that come from this recipe that you kind of built. And so, you know, it can be as broad as, hey, I really want to work for Nike, or hey, I really want to work for ACV, or I want to work for McDonald's, or, you know, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever it may look like. You can search as broad as just the company name, or you can go all the way down to the experience level, the industry, the date that the job's been posted. And LinkedIn, again, will learn what you're interested in, and it will push this to you on a daily basis. And again, the algorithm is always working. So the gears are always turning in the background to help connect you to opportunity, to help make you more productive and successful. And so as these jobs get pushed to you, you have the ability to say yay or nay. This is good for me. I don't like this one. This one's good. No, I don't like that one. And there's a little X at the top of all of these jobs. As you X these things out, the system again will learn more and more about what you are actually, better suited for, or what you're more interested in. And from there, again, it's the Netflix approach. As you start watching more shows that are similar are going to get pushed to you, and you're going to get closer to the mark on the things that are the most relevant. And so going back to what Rob was saying, as you are engaging with potential companies that you may want to work for, that you're interested in, so any company you look up on LinkedIn, you have the ability to click follow. So this is the same way that, if you're on Facebook or you're on social media or Instagram and you follow a brand or a company, you're going to be able to see their content. Once you click the follow button, you will be able to see the updates that they're putting up. So ACV, for example, does an exceptional job sharing different pieces of content, the work that they're doing in the community, the stuff that's happening at their office. And because I follow them, I see this in my feed every day. So this is a really great way to actually get a better sense of a company, to see, what they're all about, what's it like to work there. And we actually know at LinkedIn that the number one obstacle that we're all going to face as candidates when it comes to getting a new job is, what does it look like to work for that company? So when you follow this company, you're going to see their updates. And then you also have the ability to click on the Life tab. The Life tab is where you're going to see photos, video, employee testimonials. You'll see a number of different pieces of content about the organization that can really kind of fill in the blanks of, what does it look like if I want to go work for Starbucks? And on the flip side, as you do this, somebody like Paige, when she's on, sitting at her desk, working away, trying to hire top talent, she's actually going to be able to see you again as low-hanging fruit. So she has a tool that when she goes in and runs a search on LinkedIn, so let's say she's looking for, a front-end developer that's got, 10 years experience and speaks XYZ language, and she runs that search. The system will shake that all out, give her a list of all the people that meet that criteria. And besides the ones who are already putting their hand up saying, hey, I'm interested in ACV, those people are going to get prioritized for her. So she's going to have low-hanging fruit of people that are already, clicking on things, looking at things, following the company. And so this is a really good way to get noticed by the companies that you're actually interested in once you just hit the follow button. And so the last piece here, of course, we're at the finish line. You found the companies that you like, you're following them, you're, looking at their content, you're liking stuff, you're connecting with their employees. You have this great professional brand in that you've built out your page and you have a member, you have a photo that maybe you took for free at Microsoft this month. You also have the ability to apply. So this is right where you're, going in, you're really going for it. You're saying, this is the job that I'm interested in and I want to go for. And so on LinkedIn, we make it really easy. It's literally called Easy Apply. And most companies do have this enabled where they can just click apply with my profile. And so this is going to be really important, again, that your profile is nicely built out. When a recruiter sees a profile that's not built out and they've easy applied, there's going to be a lot of questions for them. And we want to make sure that you're, putting your best foot forward. So again, having a complete profile on LinkedIn will really help with this. And if the easy apply is not there, then there would be an apply on company website. So if you click on that, it'll bring you to their website. You can put in your application. Sometimes it'll ask for a resume. But this is really where you're kind of rising to the occasion and saying, this is where I want to be. And as you curate the jobs that you're interested in, we'll have more of those kind of being sent out to you. And as I mentioned, there is the feature to see jobs as they're posted, more recently. And so we actually know in our data that applicants who apply to a job within the first 3 days that the job has been posted are 13% more likely. So strike while the iron's hot. When you see that job that you like, go for it. And so that's why right now it's going to be important, whether you're looking or not looking, to make sure that you've taken the time to build out your profile so we can get, the best foot forward and get you in touch with these companies. So I know we've spent a lot of time sharing some information with you, and we're super happy that you guys were showing up today and that you're patient with us in our technical difficulties. It's kind of a joke that me and Rob always use whenever technology doesn't work and we work for a tech company. We're like, we work for Microsoft and the technology is not working. In this case today, I think it was just Rob's computer. So with that, we want to open up the floor to you guys and support you in your journey. So let us know if there's any questions. We are definitely here with no rush. So is anyone wondering anything that we can help answer?
Let me just exit the screen share so we can see you again.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
So we don't bite. And if we did, we're through a screen, so you don't have to worry about that right now. But I know that most of you guys did put up your hands, and this is free advice. I mean, we'll stick to LinkedIn for the most part. We have some babysitting tricks and some recipe tricks and stuff like that, but we'll stick to LinkedIn advice for now. Is anyone wondering anything? Does anyone have a story of success on LinkedIn they want to share? Yes, sir.
I see a hand.
My question is, does LinkedIn frown on me, like being interested in the job, but I'm actually more interested in the company because I am like a recruiter. So do they frown on that? Like me going after, putting it in the search, like I'm looking for work, but I'm actually going and recruiting that company?
Yeah, so I'll take that one. And Rob, if you want to add something, but before I worked at LinkedIn, I was a recruiter. I was a headhunter. So a lot of the conversations that we would have with talent was proactive in that, maybe the job that you want doesn't exist. You don't see it. It's not posted on LinkedIn. But I would encourage you to do a little bit of research to see, are there people that work at, so what type of work do you do, sir?
I'm a plumbing professor. I teach plumbers how to be licensed, and I teach, basically train them, also do headhunting as well.
Awesome. Great. So if you wanted to potentially work for, this company, the XYZ company, would it be in a recruiting capacity or a plumbing, like teaching capacity?
Could be all three. Could be a marketing consultant, could be a headhunter, and also could be training their plumbers that work there currently to get licensed.
Okay, so you're a man for all seasons. We like that. That's great. Jack of all trades. That's awesome. So I think it would be important to actually look at the company and see, do people work there that do those things? So you may have, a diverse skill set. Does this company hire people that teach plumbers? Does this company hire recruiters? I'm sure they probably have a couple recruiters or, at least one. And kind of first check that box and know, could there be a potential opportunity there for you? And then from there, that elevator pitch of, how what you're good at, how you can contribute, really kind of fine tune that to not just like, hey, there's all these things I'm really good at, but figure out what's the most relevant and where you can add the most value. And absolutely, reach out to someone that's there. And as we mentioned, like an informational interview, that's basically you just reaching out and saying, hey, Susan, I know that you guys don't have any open jobs right now, but I would love to learn a little bit more about your career journey working with XYZ company. I'm really interested in working for XYZ company because I know you have a great mission statement or something very compelling. Like, why do you want to work at that company? Tell them why and say, hey, I was wondering if you'd be open for 15 minutes for us to have a quick call. And in that 15 minutes, you want to, again, show up with like a strong intentionality, knowing what you want to contribute to that organization and basically setting up the opportunity for yourself the same way Rob did, with his previous role down the road. If that does open up, you will be top of mind for this person.
Thank you.
Yep. I would also add, I would encourage you as well, if you do find a position and you kind of narrow down on what exactly you want to do in that company or a new position opens up, I would also join groups that have something to do with those job functions, because again, that's just another opportunity for you to get more knowledge and to potentially network. You never know who knows who. And also to potentially try to get a recommendation that runs parallel to the skill set that's going to be required in this new position. So, you know, if it's doing something like, I'm sorry, I think it was plumbing consulting you were mentioning. So if it's something like that, you know, having maybe like a former manager or colleague kind of speak to that and speak to your acumen, that'll just bolster your profile and make it that much healthier when the time does come around and there's an opportunity for you to apply to something.
Thank you.
Hi. Wow, you're close. We can see you. You got a drink.
Oh, nice.
I just got water here, but you know, I do. I will show you. I will show you. I got a jar of Nutella on my desk because I'm addicted to Nutella. So, but you got wine.
No, it's cider.
Oh, cider. Okay.
Made in Buffalo too. So.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
My position was eliminated a few months ago. People are telling me on LinkedIn I should not indicate that. I should not put my end date on my current position. What's the thinking there?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
To repeat the question because there are a lot of people.
Just so you guys can hear, his position was eliminated at his last company. He's been told by some other people to not indicate that on his LinkedIn profile, wanting to know if that's something he should or shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think in this situation, I would also mention what else you're doing. So your position was potentially, you know, was eliminated in this case, but how else are you exercising those skill sets? Is there, you know, volunteering? Is there some sort of secondary education or certification that you're pursuing? Because I think you essentially just want to have a narrative the next time you're coming across a position or speaking to a recruiter. Essentially like, okay, you know what? These things happen. I've gotten laid off personally as well. But what did you do in the interim? You know, what were you pursuing that you can even share on your LinkedIn profile to kind of fill in those gaps? And kind of just showing your resilience, your flexibility, and you being a perpetual learner. Whether, again, that's education, some sort of volunteering experience, or some other professional pursuit. You know, I think that's huge to be able to list that as well, to, again, kind of fill in those blanks, so to speak. So it's not just sort of a gap in between when you got, when that position was eliminated and when you start your next one or applying to that next one.
That's great.
Does that make sense?
Thanks.
And I would say, so it sounds like you were like the role was terminated. And we see that all very often. Companies downsize, you know, they have budget cuts, things happen. And generally when you know, these changes happen, first and foremost, I would say outside of LinkedIn, you know, that's the universe kind of telling you that where you were at wasn't the right thing for you, despite maybe you thinking it was the right thing. And so there's, you know, change is difficult for sure. And I commend you on kind of sharing that with a room of people. But at the same time, I think there's something better in store for you. So maintaining a positive attitude with like what that looks like, I think goes a really, really long way. It can be very discouraging, you know, losing your job. Last time I checked, we all have, you know, financial responsibilities and things like that. So just kind of placing what you've done and what you brought to the table when you work there and being really clear on that for yourself, I think is really important. I also think that when these things happen, companies generally realize that, you know, you were a great employee, you gave them a lot, whether it was short term or long term, and managers are usually in a place where they want to help you find your next role. And so again, leveraging your network on LinkedIn is going to be really powerful. And this is where you can actually get, you know, when you have that conversation with your, you know, it may be not your direct manager, but maybe someone you worked with at that organization, you can ask them for a recommendation on LinkedIn. So on your profile, as we saw, you know, I don't know your name, but, you know, John or, you know, Mike or whatever, like, you know, he was a great team player. He did this and this and this. And, you know, when it comes to recommendations, sometimes we say, you can write kind of like a short idea of what you want it to say and share that with the person that you're asking, like kind of a shell of what you want the recommendation to say, and they can go in and kind of fine tune it or change things around. You're going to be a lot more likely to get a recommendation from someone if you do kind of some of that heavy lifting, and they can go in and kind of edit it as needed. But having those recommendations on your page will be, again, really helpful for recruiters, because now all of a sudden they have some clear insight from an outside person that's kind of helping you with your brand. And so going back to your question, I think the question was like, should I put that I'm, I have an end date? I think that you should do what feels right for you. If you feel like your role, you're really in a good place and you're contributing great things, and you're, it really was just because the company was kind of dissolving the role and things like that, then I don't think that there's a lot to hide there. I think that you can put that, and you could potentially put in your headline that you're looking for your next play, you're motivated, you're, a team player, you're these things, looking for your next role. I know that, like, for example, someone who is really close to me got let go about a year ago. And while he did really great things, he did get let go. It wasn't because his role was terminated. He got fired. And it was really difficult for him to kind of communicate the why around that. And eventually, when he got a job more recently, he let the recruiter know that, like, once they kind of, had an initial call, like, he had it on his profile that he was still working at that company. And once he had a conversation with the recruiter and he felt like there was a bit of a match, he let them know, like, look, this is what happened. And, he had kind of really formalized what the why was around that. So I think, like, you should use your discretion in terms of, like, I don't think it's, integrity is an important thing for sure. So I just would use, like, I would do what you feel comfortable with. But it sounds like the role was just kind of dissolved. So you're probably in a pretty good space in telling your story there.
Thank you. Very good.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you, Naz. Thank you, Rob. Fantastic presentation. Wondering what the folks in the LinkedIn laboratories are going to come up with next. Any features coming up next year or two that you can mention? Thank you.
Yeah. As far as in general, like from a member standpoint, or?
Yeah, from a member standpoint.
From a member standpoint, I do know now an exciting new feature that we came out with is you can actually post content, like sort of files, videos of your actual direct experience. So if you're an architect and you created something, and you can actually like sit there and actually like upload that into your experience section and kind of showcase that level. So you kind of like get a little bit more of a vivid understanding of what a member actually did or what they were responsible for. So there's a number of different sort of like media formats and ways that you can actually post it, aside from just essentially just typing up what your experience was as a company. And I think that'll only expand as we continue to develop better and better ways for you guys to express just all of the amazing work that you guys are doing professionally.
Yeah, and to add to that, so when we became acquired from Microsoft, there was a lot of, I'll tell you guys how it is. A lot of people at LinkedIn, we were all kind of like, oh goodness, like, are we gonna, is everything gonna change? Is everything gonna, are we still working for LinkedIn or working for Microsoft? Like, what's this all about? And it has been a really nice transition for us in that it's felt very seamless. It's felt super natural, super organic. We haven't had a tremendous amount of change by any means. But one thing that I can tell you we are really passionate about here at LinkedIn is truly our mission to connect people to opportunities. So I know I keep saying that, but realistically, like, that's why Rob and I are here chatting with you guys right now, because we want to help you. We want to help you be more productive and successful. And this is something we do outside, the hours of our regular job. And we're happy to do so because it's really important. We understand, as most of us would agree, that, having the job that you want, or a job that, helps you pay your mortgage or put food on the table, is going to increase the quality of your life. And so in our mission and vision, we want to make you guys more productive and successful. And so when we started working with Microsoft, we saw a strong alignment between what we're trying to do at LinkedIn and what Microsoft is doing. And some of those things come from just simple integrations. So for example, if you go on Microsoft Word right now and you're connected to the internet and you start writing a resume, Microsoft Word will recognize that you're writing a resume, and if your you're signed into your LinkedIn, there's an integration there. So as you start to create your resume, you're going to get recommendations for what's trending on LinkedIn for people like you. So this is just like a very simple integration that we have. But from a place of like what our products do at LinkedIn and what our products do at Microsoft, we are seeing, in the roadmap, a lot more integrations to help people become more productive and successful. For example, right now, we are seeing that there's a lot of people that are going to be working from home. And our CEO for Microsoft, Satya Nadella, just announced that Microsoft Teams, which is very similar to the technology we're using right now, we're on Zoom, but Microsoft Teams is a chatter platform that connects companies and helps them become more productive and successful. Right now, Microsoft Teams is free for companies to use because we know that we're trying to, uphold civil responsibility and, take public health and public safety in our own hands as just a civilian. So these are the types of things that make us really proud, because we do believe this work will change the world and it'll help everyone. But I think a lot of the roadmap is going to be focused again around this, how do we, put our members first? How do we do things to help them? And, we see it all the time. Like Rob and I see it all the time. Clients will come to us and say, hey, how come when I'm looking up this member, I'm paying you guys to get this search functionality, but I can't access their phone number or their address? And we say, because we are a members first organization. If that member wants to choose to share that information with you, then they can do so. But we will not, leverage our members to sell more products. We will never put ourselves in a position where our members are kind of at risk or, we're not thinking about them first. Because at the end of the day, the LinkedIn ecosystem is really built on the members. So I know that's a lot of information, but really we're constantly thinking about how we can help you guys and ourselves. We're members too. So, we're all part of it together. And we say our hashtag right now is in it together. And it's we really mean that. We really see that across the board in terms of the projects we have with our clients and then the things that we're doing with members on the other end.
One of the things I actually also wanted to mention as I was having some technical difficulties, I'm not sure if it was covered, but one of the new features that we came out with, and it's only going to be expanding more and more, is we want to identify members and their talent and their skill sets that much more accurately. So we're actually rolling out skill assessment tests. So you can actually take that straight from your profile. So if you guys do have just a very well-developed hard skill, whether that be software, programming, project management, whatever that is, explore what we're offering, because that library is only going to continue to expand, and take the quiz, because if you pass it, then that is now a skill set that has been vetted. That's sort of kind of been stamped, and that's just going to make you that much more marketable and that much more highly prized, especially as our recruiters begin to leverage that search functionality as well, and you are now identified as having this kind of validated skill set. So I think that's only going to continue to expand as we try to add more and more detail as far as your specific professional experiences and how we can make that more readily accessible to connect you guys with opportunity.
Thank you so much. You got a lot out of your answers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So thank you. In addition to the job searching connections, could you share some thoughts on using LinkedIn, one to lead your own groups, and two to leverage the LinkedIn publishing?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great point. So on LinkedIn, you can put up a post. So the same way you could on Facebook, an update kind of thing. It's just a short update. And generally we say the updates, it's kind of like Twitter. You don't want to put, you know, a whole novel in there, but you can put updates, you can link things in there, articles, you know, kind of share your opinion on stuff like that. Again, with a professional lens. But you also have the option to do what we call long form posts. And so a long form post is a long form post that you would put on LinkedIn. So you can be talking about, you know, if you're a subject matter expert in something, we definitely recommend like not talking about like religion or politics or anything like that. But if you're a subject matter expert in something or something that you want to share, you can put this in a long form post. And the cool thing about a long form post is that unlike updates, it actually stays on your profile until you take it off. So if you look me up right now on LinkedIn, you'll see that I have 2 long form posts that are on there. So it gives a lot of information about, you know, whatever it is that you're writing about. And by way of, if you have your own business or you're trying to market, you know, your services or your products yourself, this is a good way that you can kind of talk about things like that. However, as a member, if you share this, I might not realize like what your company is, or I might not know what your company is. So if I just see you as a member and I see this, this is helpful for me. But you should also be creating a company page, which would be free for you as a business owner, around your company. So the same way you have a profile, you can create a company page that you'll be the administrator on. This is absolutely free. This is where you would want to put a snapshot of like about the company, the location, some standard information. And in there, you have the ability to put up posts as a company. So if you guys look up ACV auctions on LinkedIn, you will see they do a fantastic job of sharing posts. And so the same way we were telling you guys that as a member, you want to follow the companies you're interested in. Once you do that, every time that company puts up an update, it's going to land in your feed. And so if you're a company owner, you know, you're a business owner, when you create that update, you create that page and you put an update, anyone who is following your company will now see that information in their feed. And the neat thing is that recently, so kind of going back to some of the things that we've been doing, we've added the opportunity to invite people to follow your company. And this is a free feature. So if you own a company and you create a page, you can share that with your connections and they can become followers. And the neat thing about followers is that 80% of your followers are going to be potentially interested in job opportunities with your company. So as you get more followers, you'll have, you know, more access to creating kind of a candidate pipeline from a place of marketing your products or your services. You know, we do have, LinkedIn has so we sit on the talent side of the business. We help companies recruit and find talent, but we do have a separate division that helps you sell your products. So that's called LinkedIn Marketing Services. Solutions. And so they can help you, you know, do B2B, B2C. They can figure out kind of like the audiences that are going to be most relevant to your business and, you know, lean into what other companies are doing in that industry or that space. That is obviously something that's not free specifically, but a good place to start would be to create, make sure your profile is nicely built out. You can put in long form posts in there and then also build out the company page and make sure there's a nice amount of content that's going out there.
I would say just to differentiate between the article, long form, and short. I think you definitely want to be active with sharing what's been going on with your professional brand, what's been going on at your company, maybe even relevant articles that you want to bring attention to. Long form is much more, think of it as like a blog. If you really kind of want to get into a topic and really like hash things out and you want to present a certain point, or, you know, you're seeing a trend go a certain way, that's really the forum and the medium through which you can really communicate that effectively. Whereas short posts is more just kind of like check-ins. Hey, read this article. This is really intriguing. Or, you know, love my company, just did a huge volunteering, initiative. This is what we did. And you post like a photo or something like that. And maybe even a link or a hashtag. So just to kind of differentiate between the two forms.
That's awesome. And just while I have you guys, I'm going to piggyback off what Rob was saying, more for you on the candidate side. So not the business side, but for you to build out your professional brand. Before I worked at LinkedIn, I was on LinkedIn all the time, and I was, trying to kind of polish, my professional presence on the network. And something that I did was, to Rob's point, I wanted to make sure I was sharing more content, because the more you share, the more people see you, and then, you know, your network's growing and you're building out your brand. One thing that I did was I actually found a couple different websites that I was, you know, for example, TechCrunch. I was working in the tech space, and I subscribed to that website, and I would get pushed articles, you know, in my inbox every morning. We all have these, you know, some of these things we subscribe to and we never really check, but those, from a professional standpoint, can be really helpful, because you're getting articles that you can go on LinkedIn, create a short update and say, you know, hey, check out this new article, or you want to make sure that that article resonates with you and that, you know, you've at least skimmed through it and there's some valuable information there. But you can just, as an update, say, I love their perspective on AI, you know, in healthcare right now, and share the article. And then before you know it, you're building your brand, you're building your network. Anytime you share that with your network and someone likes it, that will then pop up in their feed to all the people they're connected to. So all of a sudden, you know, you go from just sharing with your first degree connections and then liking it. Now it's in their connections, it's in their network, and people are seeing what you're posting. So it's a really good way to get visibility into, hey, I'm a professional, I'm on the network, I kind of know what I'm talking about, or, you know, this is what I'm interested in.
Great. I think we have 2 questions left, so we just want to get through those really quick.
Sure.
Any questions? Or did they get answered? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment that I've recently utilized ProFinder, and I think there's some really powerful tools there that are team jobs or in jobs that are looking for professional development and individuals to kind of give them a cutting edge. So if you could say a few words about that.
Great, yeah, so she was just mentioning she was using ProFinder. I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
With respect to ProFinder, I'm actually going to punt that to Naz, because I can't necessarily speak to that.
Yeah. So ProFinder is basically, it's kind of like Craigslist on LinkedIn. It's a professional services marketplace that helps you find, for example, if you're looking for a graphic designer to help you with a logo, or you're looking for, you know, that gentleman there was saying that, you know, he is a professor and teaches people how to do plumbing. You know, if you're on ProFinder, this is a good way to kind of, I say it's Craigslist, but it's a good way to connect with people within a specific area of expertise that can help you with the different services that you're looking for. Now, I will say this, so ProFinder is only in the US, so we don't have it, like if you're, you know, not in the US, it's literally just in the US for now, and I do believe that it'll probably stay in the US for now. But the way that it works is that you basically, as a freelancer, so let's say I'm a graphic designer, I can sign up and get a ProFinder account, and I basically put my profile on there, and then I'm searchable by companies that can want to hire me, whether that be for contract work or for project-based work, you know, hourly, what have you. Thanks for sharing.
Do you have one more question? Yes.
I have one in regards to the job kind of profile match algorithm. I am actively searching, and I have it open my profile for recruiters and my network. And I'm getting a lot of amazing job suggestions, but they're all in New York City. And I have under my career interests specified my commute time based out of Buffalo, New York. Is there a better way to differentiate between upstate and downstate, or is there something I may have missed in narrowing down where my search area should be?
So just to repeat really quick, so everyone can hear, candidate looking for jobs, she is getting a lot of great opportunities, but they are only in New York City, they're not in Buffalo. Is there a way for her to narrow that so that she's only getting opportunities in Buffalo and not New York?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And just to clarify, you are currently in Buffalo, or you are currently in New York City looking to relocate to Buffalo?
Currently in Buffalo.
I'm sorry?
She's currently in Buffalo.
She is currently in Buffalo. You have that designated as Buffalo. Were you doing a lot of searches prior to in the New York City area? Got it. And you, okay, so your current location is Buffalo, and you're also indicated that you want to be open to opportunities in Buffalo. Then I actually, yeah, that's actually quite interesting. I've never heard of someone kind of not, you know, kind of being misaligned with that location. I would definitely reach out to, there's kind of like a technical support under your profile, just to kind of see on the back end if there's some sort of, if there's any misalignment. Because again, essentially when our job slots or our job postings go out, they're going to match what the criteria are, that being job description, job title, job location, by all of the 675 million profiles across the network. And it's going to bring up and essentially surface in front of the most relevant talent. And one of those key factors is going to be location. So you should be getting a lot of marketing for Buffalo. Are you not getting any Buffalo jobs?
I am getting Buffalo jobs, but I'd say they're 1 in 20 compared to New York City.
Got it. Do you have an indication that you're also open to relocation by chance, or no? No. Got it. Yeah, that might be just like a unique kind of technical situation, because normally it's going to take, the network's going to take note of your habits, that's taking in all of your searches, all of your data points, to then not only match up your profile with potential job openings, but also to learn from your search history. So yeah, I would check that technical link just to find out maybe more information. Maybe something was done on the back end that you can't necessarily see, because that shouldn't be the issue, or that shouldn't be an issue.
One point of clarification is that I do have chapters I'm open to working remotely, because some of the jobs I am looking at do allow remote options. So I don't know if that's possibly screwing it up. Now, of course, until I figured it out what was happening with the algorithm, I was clicking on all these jobs from New York, thinking that they were remote options. So now it's like the algorithm is solidifying the fact that I'm looking in New York, even though I'm not at all.
Gotcha. And those particular jobs that are surfacing to you from New York, are they indicating that it's remote as well?
It doesn't help. No, there's no great way on my side, at least, to really identify when, from what I've seen at least, and I could be wrong if I'm missing something, most will describe in the job description that they're remote, but they have the home office space or the home company space still listed as a location.
Okay, well, this process will definitely get easier for all of our members going forward. We just had a pretty monumental update to the recruitment platform, and now all of our users, or at least people who have been migrated up to this point, can actually post and indicate that something is a remote job. So more and more, you're going to see remote designations in the location, and it's also going to be a little bit more accurate with how it's pairing up potential job postings with people who have indicated that they're open to remote jobs. So I think for the time being, you kind of have to almost like read it in the job description if they mention it, or in the title. But soon enough, by the end of the year, you're going to be seeing a remote designation as well. But if I were you, I would definitely follow up with technical support just to figure out maybe there's something that was indicated, or maybe something was done. But I think as you continue to search Buffalo jobs, that's going to kind of reset that algorithm on the back end. And it's going to increasingly start to surface more and more Buffalo jobs, as it's going to be more and more consistent with what your current search is on.
Yeah, and just to add to that, so when you're going in for the help ticket, just when you're on LinkedIn and you click me, there's a help button there, and then you'll have the ability to contact the support team through the help. And then also I want to say that as you're getting these jobs that are New York City, as I showed you guys before in the presentation, there is a little X button on those jobs. So you'll be able to X them out if you're on your desktop. On mobile, there should be ability to slide that you're not interested in the job as well. And so as you do that, the algorithm will also learn that. I know, for example, I was looking for a job for my friend the other day, and now I'm getting all these jobs sent to me that I'm like, A, I'm not looking, and B, I don't want to be, a director of brand right now for XYZ company. So I have to kind of reset that. But I would just, like Rob said, leverage the help button and do that. And in brackets, sometimes we do see this type of thing happen if the the place that you're living currently is like very, very obscure. But in our efforts to kind of digitally graph everything for LinkedIn, we're even getting into kind of those obscure, smaller cities. But sometimes, you know, if the city is really small, it will kind of populate to the closest kind of bigger city. But Buffalo by no means is small, and you know, we are right there and seeing the city grow, and all the opportunities are going with it. So I don't think that should be something that you're dealing with right now.
All right, thank you so much to our folks at LinkedIn. I think this presentation was very useful, so we definitely really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. We hope it was helpful. And so last note that we're going to say, you know, we hope that you guys all stay very healthy, very well. You know, 20 seconds, we all know it, all that good stuff. If you have any further questions or you need anything, Rob and I, you can find us on linkedin.com. But we're happy to have shared the evening with you, and we wish you all the best in your candidate journeys.
Thank you.